All right, I'm so excited today to be here with one of my favorite clients, Mary. Mary is an amazing consultant for nonprofits. She helps nonprofits close seven, eight, nine-figure gifts from high net worth individuals. And I think her story of what we've done so far is so incredible because as we were trying to launch, help her go from one to one to one to many. Firstly, we were hit with an absolute curveball of her entire 5K email list we thought we were going to sell to was gone. We'll talk about that more in a second. And then we had to pivot quickly. We launched her low ticket into high ticket ecosystem. In the first 7 days, you did 120K in sales to cold traffic.
Yes.
First month, you were at 220K in sales.
Hmm.
One to many program has been launched. And you're now in talks for a deal that's 500K for your one-to-many offer, which I think is like that's still blowing my mind. That's
I
incredible.
know. Yes, it's amazing. Life is so different than what it was 5 months ago. Yeah.
And we're like at the beginning.
Oh, we've just begun our work, Maggie.
Okay, so let's
This
dive
just
in.
started. Yeah.
Let's dive in. Before we start working together, like what was life like?
Well, I was flailing. I had good content. I knew what I wanted. I didn't know how to get from where I was to where I wanted to be. Um, I I was exhausted. I was putting in 12, 14-hour days, like Monday through Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday would still like work another 6 hours each of those days. Like I have too much gray hair because of those days. Um, like I just wasn't taking care of myself. I was just eating on the run. Like I wasn't purposeful in my life. I was trading time for money. So we only have so much time in the day. So I could only take on so many clients. So I couldn't scale. I just didn't know how to pivot to get where I wanted to get until I met you.
Hmm. So tell me about, so you were working one-to-one, so helping
Yeah.
nonprofits sales all one-to-one,
Yeah.
and like tell me a little bit more about like the creation that you were doing, your podcast and all those things.
Yeah, so I was trying little things.
Hmm.
So I put out a podcast. It's shockingly successful. And they're just quick podcast. They're 20 minutes long. It's just me talking about something interesting in fundraising. Um, People have definitely tuned in. I'm getting about 20,000 downloads per episode, which is huge. So when that started, I started to put some lead magnets. Like I would on the podcast, I would talk about, go to the show notes and download this. So I was getting a little bit of organic traffic, but it was a trickle, even with a huge podcast. And I was building courses. Like I built a course on donor cultivation, and it sat on a shelf for 2 years because I just didn't have time to market it. I didn't know how to market it. And I was so busy with my one-on-one clients
Hmm.
that I just couldn't get anything else done. It just let's just call a spade a spade.
Hmm. Okay, so you had that not even booked out. It was like beyond booked out if you're working 12, 14-hour days plus
Yeah.
weekends. So
Yes.
that's intense. You had these ideas because you've got an engineering background, but you're a creator at heart. So you had all the
Yeah.
ideas, and there were all these puzzle pieces, but your big issue was one, I don't have the time to even do anything.
Yeah.
Two, when I do stuff, I create it, but like now what, how do I actually market? How do I sell it? But you had that like dream of like this, there has to be a better way for a while, right?
Oh my gosh, I knew there was a better way. I was seeing other creators be successful. But what happened was I would go out on YouTube or I would buy a little course here and there, and it would send me in all kinds of different directions. Like it really wasn't helpful. Like it was kind of like if you're climbing a mountain, like you want to like logically take steps. Whereas I was like around, down, over here, like because I was listening to different people and different ideas, and so nothing really happened. I was
Mm,
just learning and then feeling worse about myself because I wasn't doing everything, but I was only getting snippets from like all these different people.
mm,
And then I was like, I need to invest. I need to invest in one coach that's going to get me to where I want to get.
mm. And what was that moment for you when you realized I need help?
Well, I was having trouble sleeping.
Mhm.
which I love my sleep. So that's a problem. So I was having trouble sleeping. I was making good money, but I was just burnt out. I was exhausted. I don't know that I was a great person to my partner. Like I wasn't great to my friends. I didn't have time for them. There's volunteer work that I want to do that I was just doing a terrible job at. And so then I kind of quit doing that just so I could focus on work. It was just this endless treadmill of nothingness. I mean, the money was great, but I wasn't happy.
Mm.
I was not happy. I didn't have time to do anything.
And did anything like, was there like a catalyst or did anything happen? You were like, okay, I'm done. Now something has to change. Did you have like a moment like that?
Well, I went through a divorce, and I met someone new, and I wanted to spend time with him, and I was having trouble finding time. And so I was like, okay, like it's time for me to scale. It's time for me to use my time much more effectively and efficiently. And so I'd like to thank Tim for coming into my life because that was like the catalyst that was like,
Mm.
okay, I need to free up some time because I want to be with him. I want to have a life. I
Yeah.
love my work. I love my work. But there's so much more than just working 12, 14 hours a day,
Yes. Even when you love what you do.
even when you love it.
Yeah. And once you kind of got inside and you start getting some help, what happened?
Oh, okay. I can breathe. I can breathe. I feel like I have a path forward that, I mean, even like Maggie and we've been working together. We've seen big successes over the last couple months, but even the little successes, the first time I sold my low ticket offer, $47. That was huge for me. Like that was just like, okay, I'm doing the right. And I sold it like it was like my ad was live for like 2 hours and
Hmm.
like something sold. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it just was like my shoulders stopped touching my ears
Hmm.
because that's how I used to work, I think. And it was just, it's just a completely different life. So I, I, Maggie talked me through how to like shut down different parts of my business that weren't serving me well, that even though I loved doing, it wasn't paying what it should have paid.
Yeah.
So we shut that down. We've built things back up again so that it's scalable. Like I work 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, which is a huge improvement. And I take the weekends off. And like next weekend, my husband and I he's now my husband, are now going out of town on a golf trip just for fun. Like, so it's totally different. It's completely different life.
I love that. And I think I just want to like kind of dig into this a little bit more because you were all like when you kind of came across me and we had that conversation, you were like, yeah, this is the right next step. You were making good money. So it wasn't
Yes.
about I want to scale so I can make more money. I mean, it's always nice, but it was much more around I don't like the life I'm currently living. Would that be
Yes.
okay to say? Yeah.
That is okay. In fact, I now recall,
Mhm.
Maggie, that I told you in our first call, I want to take a cooking class. I just want to take one because I do not know how to cook. I like burn salad. So I said to you, Maggie, I just want to take a cooking class. And that was like an emotional thing. I did not have time. Like the cooking classes here in my neighborhood, they're like from 5 to 7. And I'm like, I'm still on calls. I'm never going to make this class. Like I just want to do this one thing. My husband and I have taken lots of cooking classes since I've started. So it's just even that one thing is so huge.
Yeah, I love that. So I was gonna say, I remember the first thing that we worked on, and I want to kind of dig into that because I think it's surprising for people because when you work with
Yeah.
strategies, you're like, oh, how do I make more money? I'm like, no, 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 not
Oh
yet.
no.
Not
Yeah.
yet.
It's time.
First thing we said was like, okay, you mentioned the cooking class like on our one of our first calls. I was like, great. When? Like, when's that
Yeah.
happening? Because we need to fill your cup a little bit. Then we need
Yeah.
to work on getting time and energy back
Yes.
before we can even think about one-to-many scaling ads, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So you said like we shut down parts of the business, and that took a second, but it was
It did.
also like running some numbers and seeing like, oh, this thing, oh, on paper makes, 30, 40K or whatever, but actually, here's what you get out of it. Is that worth the energy? And you were like, no.
Well, it was shocking
Mhm.
because I had never, you opened up a whole new perspective because I'd never looked at how I spent my time and then how that particular time was tied to dollars. And then when you and I started looking at things, and I was like, oh my gosh, when I do this type of work, I'm making like $50 an hour. Like when I could, I mean, other clients are paying me 1,000 an hour. Like, oh my gosh, it was completely eye-opening. And so when those contracts sunsetted, I sunsetted the program and have a lot more time to scale, which is the way. It is
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah. Because I feel like everyone thinks like, oh, we start working together and like I'm gonna help them make a lot more money, make more sales. I'm like, yeah, like that's the idea. But if you're coming to me in that kind of situation where like, hey, I'm working like, all these hours and I'm exhausted and the only thing I want to do in my life is do a cooking workshop with my partner, like, cool, we focus on that first because otherwise, like you need one actual physical time to do some of these things. It doesn't have to be like a lot. I don't think you're putting in like a huge amount of hours into what we've done together. Like 6 a week or something,
No,
like is my
no.
estimate.
Oh my gosh. Maybe 4 to 5 hours a week.
4 to 5 hours a week. Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. Um,
Yeah.
luckily we have some like AI tools that have saved some time there as well to get some results faster. So it's been cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've actually done this like 4 to 5 hours a week,
Yeah.
where if you're working 12 to 14 hours a day, you still need those 4 to 5 hours somewhere. We need to find them, which means we first get
Exactly.
time back, we first get capacity back, we give you some breathing
Yeah.
room, we lower that cortisol. That's going to allow you to be creative. And then we can go and actually create and pull things together and make better decisions. So I just want to kind of,
Yes.
yeah,
Oh gosh.
that's
Like
phase one.
my mind is clearer. I can actually think long term. I'm not just thinking about, oh my gosh, what do I need to do today and tomorrow? Like I'm now thinking about, what does a year look like?
Mm.
I could never have that vision in the past because it was just so cloudy in here.
Hmm.
Um, and now it's crystal clear. I know what I need to do. I know what I don't need to do, which is just as important.
And what else do you think has like changed for you since then?
Oh gosh. Well, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start. Well, so I lost my email list due
Oh,
to a
let's
virtual
let's talk
assistant.
about that a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
So so
Okay.
so so kind of phase one, we're like, okay, she's overworked. We have to get her time back, energy back, capacity back. Phase
Yeah.
two, we're like, we have these assets, we've
Yeah.
got a
Let's
podcast,
get
we've
to
got a
work.
5K
Yeah.
email list. We're now
Yeah.
gonna launch the one-to-many offer, make 5 to 10 sales or whatever. And as we did that, and we like wrote all these great emails, all this stuff. I know from my side, I was like, you're not booking the sales calls I would be expecting you to book. Something is weird. What do we find out?
Well, so I had a virtual assistant and this VA, I thought she was doing the right things. I thought she was doing all the things. Um, and I would give her work, right? Because I was still just starting to shave time off. So I was still working quite a few hours. And you're probably watching this video and being like, Mary, why didn't you have your finger on the pulse? You should know your email stuff. But I trusted the VA. And not that VAs are bad. VAs are an amazing thing. I just had this one snafu. So we launched and we're doing things, and then Maggie starts asking these questions, and I start digging in, and I find that the email list is gone, and it actually had been gone for a few months, but the VA was afraid to tell me that that's what happened. We were moving to a new system. She lost the list. We don't have access to the old system. Like it was just a nightmare. So we had to start fresh. And so when I told this to Maggie, she was like, it's okay. We pivot. It's just new information and we move forward from here. And I thought it's going to take forever to rebuild. It's going to take like it was a deflating, awful moment for me because I was on the precipice of like changing things. And this was such a huge setback. But it wasn't a setback because you taught me how to go after cold traffic. And now I'm organically bringing in between 230 and 260 new people for my email list every month. Um, so I'm actually building a better list, and it's stronger and it's more responsive and it's the right people. So at this point, you have taught me that quality is better than quantity any day of the week.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm feeling all the emotions because when we had that conversation, you had a very censored summary of how that conversation actually went.
Yes.
I think there was a
Yes.
lot
There's
of
a lot of
stirring them up.
emotion.
Yeah, from both sides. I think, yeah, there's some colorful language
Yes.
that happened there.
Yes.
But I think it's also such a great example of like, it's kind of like almost like one of the worst things that could happen as an online business owner. Your entire database or like wherever you are, like that's gone. If you're on Facebook or your LinkedIn, if that disappears,
Yeah.
that's what you rely on,
Yeah.
that's gone. That's not a great situation. But we made a plan. We basically had kind of a few variations of like of plans of if this, then we can do this. If that happens,
Yeah.
we can do this. And we started implementing. So I also like, I'm just also really proud of you that you were like, wow, it's shit, but all right, what's next? Because I think a
Yeah.
lot of people would have stayed in that deflation for a lot longer, and you were able to quite quickly just, all right, what's the next step?
Well, but Maggie, I have to say, and I'm not trying to like blow smoke up your skirt here, but if I didn't have you, I would, I don't know that I would have thrown in the towel, but it would have taken me a long time
Mm,
to get over that. I
mm,
mean, I would have flailed probably for another year, just being like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Like it took me 10 years just to build a list of 5,000 because I had so many I mean,
yeah,
so thank you. Because if I didn't have the support and the know-how to like build, I would still be sitting there. I wouldn't be where I am today,
yeah,
closing, hundreds of thousands in sales from a scalable program.
yeah. And I think let's talk about that a little bit because I mean, the results are incredible. I think I do want to say, I think this is like definitely okay. Mary is a star student. She like gets shit done quickly. If she gets stuck, you ask questions and we're like, we roll with stuff really like quickly. And I think these results, I'm like almost like this is an outlier. Like just because Mary did it doesn't mean you're gonna get these kinds of results. Um, but we spent quite a bit of time and energy on the messaging of the low ticket offer. And we want to really
Yes.
emphasize this. We spent like some time we sat with what is the right offer, what's the right messaging about that? Because in when you're doing a low ticket to high ticket ecosystem, we don't really care that much about are the ads profitable and how many
Yeah.
sales we get here. We care, are we getting the right people for the high ticket thing we actually want to sell?
Yeah.
And in
Yes.
your case with the nonprofit industry, there's a lot of people who would never pay you what you want them to pay you.
That's correct.
So
Yes.
that low ticket offer had to be compelling for the right people, that
Yeah.
sliver of that industry who can move in. And I think you said like you had like 120 conversations and only one wasn't a good fit or something.
Yeah. Yeah, yes. So the low ticket offer, I have a lot of competition. There's a lot of fundraising consultants out there. There's a lot of nonprofits out there that need help raising money. And so I wanted a low ticket offer that nobody else was offering. And it was actually like the most basic thing. And even I had never thought to offer it, but my low ticket offer is how to have a donor meeting. And you think like, oh, fundraisers know how to do that, but there are so many tips and tricks on I mean, just like in sales and just like any, whatever, whoever's watching this, whatever your niche is, there are very specific things that nobody's ever talked about. So, and then people are thanking me like, I've never seen anything that actually tells me what to do when I'm sitting across the table from a donor. So we spent a lot of time thinking about that low ticket offer. I remember I brought like 8 ideas, and we were like, and then we were just like, no, no, this is the one.
Mhm.
So it's $47, and I mean, I'm selling 3 a day, which is huge. I have a really good liquidation rate, which Maggie tells me is great. I don't understand what that means, but that's cool. And then um, after that, after someone purchases that $47 low ticket offer, they have a 15-minute onboarding call with me. And in that 15 minutes, I can ask certain questions. I can make sure that they're on board. But what we found after having hundreds of calls is that it's the right audience. Like we have somehow cracked the secret sauce because there's only been one person that misunderstood the ad and kind of signed up and he didn't even want a refund. He was like, I actually enjoyed it. So I was like, okay, which is fine. So in these calls, then I'm setting it up for future sales, and it's the absolute right people. And so we've really honed and honed and honed that audience.
Hmm.
Um, and now it's just set it and forget it. Like, don't touch it. Maggie says it's working. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
So I
Make
don't
more
touch it.
ads. Let's like do
Yeah.
that, but like
Yeah.
don't make any changes.
Yeah.
And I think what was so interesting when you first told me like, oh my gosh, 120K in sales in 7 days, that was like I
Yeah.
think it was like $345 of ad spend.
Yes.
Something like it was
Yes.
like
It was under $500.
yeah, I
Yes.
think it was like three like somewhere around the 350 mark, like maybe under 500, I can't remember, but it was like low. And I was like, my assumption was, oh, that must be people who had like listened to your podcast. They had always seen you somewhere like out in the wild.
Oh no.
And it was
No.
all cold traffic.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's really, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, of
Oh.
course.
Yeah. So, well, you hit the nail on the head. So the ad audience is getting me in front of the right people, people that I hadn't been in front of before, and I'd never done Facebook ads before. And so it's you're putting yourself out there. It's you in a very vulnerable position to kind of sell, but it's been very joyful and amazing. The people that I'm meeting, so right in that very first month, I had two people buy my high ticket offer, which is 60,000 a year. So right there was 120,000. I had spent $350 on ad spends, which I know, which was amazing. And it was through people, I mean, creating the good low ticket offer, like really meaty, amazing things that are actionable and just in time information. And then they get on this onboarding call with me. So they get, some Mary time, and then they're just sold. Like they bought the low ticket, they've watched something, they've spent time, and here it is.
And I think
And
like
so,
we've only implemented like, I don't know, 10% of my ecosystem.
oh my,
Like,
okay. I didn't even know that. I'm salivating.
like,
Okay.
yeah, we're like slowly adding in like more some AI tools and like some other things, but like
Yeah.
this is there's not even like like a proper funnel in place because you're doing so well on that front end. I was like, let's not worry about the upsell right now because you don't need it.
Yeah.
So I just think that's so cool. And like kind of going from that like really big curveball with the email list to being able to pivot and like on the first try get something that's really good and that's getting those high ticket. Like you're now in
Yeah.
talks for a 500K deal for your one-to-many
Yes.
offer.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
So I know. I know. It's surreal and the most exciting thing that's like ever happened to me. So I had a person who came in, took a low ticket offer. She works for a national organization and she loved it. And she hired me for a speaking gig. So I will go and speak to them. But she's also sold it to her supervisor as, this is something that nationwide we should implement, that we should do. And so that I have that meeting in a couple weeks and it's so exciting.
super
Yeah.
exciting because when there's one, there's gonna be more, and it's just now we're like, great, like how do we scale this without burning Mary out again?
Yeah,
That's the next conversation.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
what would you say, like what from your perspective, what were like your biggest, top achievements? It doesn't just have to be like kind of financial and
Yeah.
business wise, that's great, but like also personally.
Well, I would say the first biggest achievement was having the time to go to a cooking class. I know it seems so small, but it was monumental to go to that cooking class. It was just something I'd want to do for years. I would say every day, um, I still get like, butterflies in my tummy every time I see just a $47 sale. Like, and it's not the sale. It's just that I've put myself out there, which is hard to do. It's hard. You're in a very vulnerable position. You're putting your face and your videos out to cold traffic, and people are accepting and buying and happy with it. And so that's huge. But I mean, at the end of the day, here in America, the nonprofit sector is charged with a lot of our societal issues, right? Like, we feed the hungry, we take care of the sick, we educate people. We're the ones, helping, homelessness and all of these on all these fronts. So anytime I can help a fundraiser close, like, I mean, even a five-figure gift, right? A $10,000 gift is still can be huge for an organization. So if I'm just helping them move the needle in any kind of way, it's such a day maker
Mm.
because like the ripple effect is really huge. So, if you're watching this and you coach or you have a product, I know you can feel the same way about you're helping the greater good. You're helping somebody help somebody else. You're helping somebody help themselves. And it's huge. So that outweighs the money every day of the week.
Yeah. I can like feel tears welling up, honestly, because I'm like, oh, but that means that I have a hand in that impact that's now actually impacting all of these massive organizations who are going to
Yes.
get more funding. And that's something that's so close to
Change
my
the
heart as
world.
well. And it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, freaking
Oh
heavy. Like
yeah.
talk about impact. Like this is it.
I know. I feel very lucky to do what I do.
Yeah.
And you've helped me. But see, Maggie, this is the thing. You've helped me reach a whole, like I was helping, my 15 clients raise a lot of money. Now I'm helping hundreds and thousands of organizations raise a lot of money. And so it's really something to think about.
It is.
Yeah,
That's massive.
I
And
know.
where are you going from here? Like, what does the future hold for you in your business?
Gosh. Um, Now that I have had a taste of like what scaling is and like I have bigger plans than just going to a cooking class. Like um so I've owned my own business for 12 years. I have never taken more than 1 week vacation. And so coming up in August, I'm taking a 3 week vacation. I'm going to Europe. I don't have the Wi-Fi package. So I am actually going to unplug for the first time in 12 years. And
Mm.
so that feels a little scary, but I've set up the system so that I can do that.
Mhm.
And so the one to many is the way to go. So after that vacation, like I think maybe 3 years from now, I'd love to be working, 3 days a week, but still having the same impact and reaching the same amount of organizations so that they can, you know, do what they need to do to make our world a better place.
Love that. I love that. Mary, like, thank you so much for sharing your story. What would
Of
you
course.
say to other people?
Okay. First, if you found yourself in anything that I said today, like the burnout, the gray hair, the not being a good partner, like not, just all the things, there's a better path for you. And Maggie has the secret sauce. And so if you're teetering on should I get a coach, should I not get a coach, you should get a coach and it should be Maggie. So I will say that for the rest of my life.
Thank you. And
Of course.
did you have any like hesitations before you said yes to working together?
A little bit. I didn't know. I bought a low ticket offer from you for $47,
Yep.
and I hadn't even watched it. And I got on the phone with you, and you were like, "Don't watch that yet. We have other work to do." And then you told me, "Okay, now you need to go back and watch that course," because I just wasn't. I thought I knew what I needed,
Hmm.
but I was my brain was so stretched thin that you were like, you don't need this now. You need this later. Let's do this now. And just having a 30-minute conversation with you and listening to what, how things could change for me. I was a little nervous, like, how's this going to go? What, like, is it just going to be more work? But it really scaled my time. I mean, I can like go kayaking now. I can take my dogs to the dog park and I don't, have like a tick worrying like what's in my email box and all the things. Like life is different. And we've been working together for like 4 or 5 months and it's different. So I am glad I took the leap. Like if I would have let fear hold me back, I just would have been in this on the same treadmill. So yeah, it was a risk, but oh my gosh, best thing I ever did.
I love that.
Yeah.
Mary,
It's
thank you so
Maggie's world. We're just living in it. Yeah,
much. I'll quote you on that. No, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think this is
of
just so
course.
incredibly inspiring, and I really think it's going to help so many people say, like, even if something like shit happens and your email is gone or your Facebook, like something like that. I
You
mean,
can get through it.
Phoenix,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
that's right.
where do people learn more about you?
Oh, you can go to heyfundraiser.com to learn more about me.
Anything. Cool. All right,
Okay.
Mary,
All
I
right.
will see
Thank you,
you next time.
Maggie. Okay. Okay. Bye.